was something we had to try to find here and couldn't find it. Was there any extra copies somewhere or something that's there on the? Not went in, come back out.
The mayor brought that. I don't know if he's got any more copies or not.
What do we need, how many more?
She would like one.
Okay, I'll get you, I'll,
It's in the table. Yeah.
Mayor, I brought mine, that you had already seen.
okay, let me give this, you just wait on.
Getting close?
Yeah.
I'll just let Debbie do it. She's got all the minutes and everything like that. She knows how to do it. She's a pro at it.
Mr. Hopper might wanna do it, you wanna do it, I mean, y'all need to.
You go right ahead. I'm just here for the looks. I'm looking.
She wanted someone else to second.
You think,
She days long, so
yeah.
she said she'd do it, so.
Is, Gary coming?
Supposed to be.
We might ought to give him a minute or two.
She got
It's
on
off
work
tomorrow.
tonight. She's supposed to be here, something happened.
So you want me to help her keep minutes?
Hmm.
You want me to help her keep minutes? I should keep the minutes.
Yeah, she's gonna keep the minutes of it.
Okay.
She's gonna be our official secretary.
Secretary of ours, we need to vote on it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Official.
I'm just here for the good looks.
You think Gary is gonna be here?
I talked to him.
Gary Kirk. But he usually works until maybe right at 5.
We could go ahead and start with that.
We still got a quorum, and if he comes in, we can.
We'll just go ahead, start our meeting up. Let's call the meeting to order. We'll have a roll call, please.
Cindy Wheatley,
Here.
Russell King,
Here.
Ronnie Hopper,
Here.
and I'm Debbie Kyle.
There you go, okay. So we have a quorum, there's 5 on the board. Gary maybe come in a little later here, and he's working. We'll go ahead and, secretary, we'll just go ahead right quick and vote on the secretary.
I make a motion to let Debbie Kyle as secretary of solid waste board.
I hear a second to that.
I'll second.
Motion been made and second. All in favor, let it be known saying aye.
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 Okay. So, we are glad to have this good crowd here tonight. If anybody wants to speak, why don't you sign up? We'll let you speak first if you want to, then we'll go ahead and have the rest of the meeting. Debbie, I'll call your name out and you can,
Miss Lindy Whiting,
I see in this packet here about these letters that
is this something new that's going to be sent to people that have,
This is
I'll-
something
that's-
new.
That's
I
kind of
have
the
not-
mayor's
I
side,
haven't
I'll talk
seen
about that.
And we're gonna
well,
talk.
my main thing is, I live out about 3.5 miles outside of town off the Eva Road. There is a property at 3070 Eva Road. And it is trashy like camper trailers, and the whole lot is just junk in there. It's like someone has gone into the woods and is squatting. Now, I went down to talk to Mr. Hall, and the property is owned by a Sandra Quinn that lives on get my glasses on here before I say something wrong. 168 Washington Avenue here in town. Now, I don't know what can be done about this. I don't know if there's children living in this thing. It's like a trailer that you would hook onto your truck and go camping with.
Is that
Is-
307 or 307?
3070 Eva Road. As you're heading out towards Eva, it's on the left-hand side in these woods. It's a dirt road, a bunch of trees down. There's loads of wood, metal, and then there's another little, looks like a
I know
Fred
what it is.
Flintstone trailer in there also.
As you're going down that hill,
And it looks like the devil. And like I say, I don't know what's living in there, if they're supposed to really be living in there, or if they have children. If they have children, I doubt there's running water in this little thing.
Has, Human Services been contacted?
I don't know, like I said, I haven't seen an actual person there. Occasionally I see a truck in there, but I don't sit down there and watch it. But it's just becoming a pile of junk.
Can I ask you, did you see garbage out
Oh,
there?
it's garbage, it's
Garbage.
wood, it's tarps running from one side of the trailer over something else.
But
It's
what I'm
a
asking
mess.
Is this like household trash, stuff you should be throwing in the dump, other than the
I can't
wood
really
stuff?
tell because I'm driving into town and I see this monstrosity every day. And I don't stop because traffic is barreling along on Eva Road.
Well, if it's garbage, the state gives us a free hand to go ahead and get after them. I don't know about junk, I guess that would be up to.
Also, I wonder if the, police department has been notified to make a, visit.
I have
think
not
that's a-
called them yet about it.
Yeah.
It's been only about 3.5 weeks that a mailbox went up across the street with an actual address on it. And so I went, okay, now I've got an address, so now I can go talk to Mr. Hall about who owns this property. And cause in the past, there's been people that have been in there for like a month or two with a little travel trailer, and I thought, oh, maybe they're just visiting for the summer in the county, and they plop their tent here and do their business and they leave. Now this has been there for quite a few months. And there were 2 other trailers in there at one time in the beginning, and those have disappeared. But this other stuff, it is just a mess.
Do you know if there's utilities run to it, electric? Do you?
I don't know if there is or not.
Okay.
Because, like I say, it's just like someone pulled into the woods there, plopped their trailers, and I thought it was squatters to begin with. And then when I went and got who actually owned the property from Mr. Hall, you know, I said, well, I wonder if these people know that somebody is on their lot out there.
We're gonna discuss this some here shortly.
Okay.
The mayor is gonna give us a little talk on some of this, so it will blend in with this, you know, let's just wait and kinda get a.
If I
find out
need
what's
to
gonna be
contact
done,
the
you know,
police or
and-
something,
and
I'll
if you
just
got a
tell you to
paper
do
on
it.
You'll need to turn that in to the mayor,
Okay?
And
I'll
there
get him
will
a
be
copy of it.
yes, cause it'll have to be, if we do something about it, we'll have to send them a notice, and they'll have like
Yes.
a month or so to clean
They'll
it
Well, I
have
up.
to
thought
be
I'd
a-
talk to you all first, cause I was gonna send this woman a letter, and then I thought, maybe there's somebody else that should be dealing with this
think there's a
issue.
procedure
I think you need to wait on that.
Okay, well, I won't do that. My other thing is, the recycling. I've been a big recycler. And we used to be able to put the plastic up there by All Goods, and now they don't take plastic, they do not take glass. Henry County no longer takes glass, cause I run my plastic and stuff up to them. I've been reading, and my niece has dealt with environmental issues in the state for many, many years and worked with Mr. Alexander, the senator. She's been sending me information that a lot of these places now, because China is no longer taking recyclables, that people they're still collecting the recyclables with their, in the city, where they have two things, one for recycles, one for trash, and it's all going into the landfills now. So, I'm a little concerned about that. I don't know if that affects us in this area, but it's starting to become a habit around the country because we're no longer shipping off. My thing would be, why isn't the United States dealing with this? Why are we shipping recyclables overseas? Doesn't make any sense to me. But my concern is, I still think we should be recycling. I'm just hoping that somebody does do something with the recyclables.
With that being said, I'll give you a little past history. When that landfill came in down here at West 70, part of the contract then was, is they would set up a recycle center for Benton County. They have yet to do that. Do we have the money to spend to fight them and say do that? No. So that was part of the negotiation in getting that landfill. That was also, once they opened up that West 70 landfill, we should have never had another landfill in Benton County. Now we're
I agree.
overloaded with them, and it's a shame. I said the state owes us.
Big time.
So anyway, but recycling is a great thing. There is not a lot of money in it, and that's why a lot of them are not doing it, especially in glass. But
It
it is a shame.
It winds up costing really, I mean, because they can't, you got no saving spot for it.
Well, to me, it's, you probably won't make money,
right,
but it frees
The
up a lot
environment.
of space in your landfill.
yeah.
Cause plastic takes forever and a day to ever deteriorate.
The sad part about this landfill too is, it's not just our garbage.
Exactly.
And we have no control of recycled materials that come into that landfill. That's the hard part, because they manage their own landfill, we have no say-so.
Well, it's hard to recycle.
It is hard, and they have done it in the past. Like, you know, the kids for Project Graduation have had recycle in their cans. I think it's great and wonderful, and I wish everybody do that. And at one time, they had these recycle trailers and stuff set up, but then everybody throws everything else in there, and that's sad.
Right.
And then you find garbage laying everywhere when
And
it's
it
supposed to be
contaminates
recycled.
the whole lot.
Yes, the whole thing.
I get it, and that was the reason Henry County gave me for not taking glass anymore, is because people didn't clean out their containers
Yeah.
and it contaminated the whole
But
lot.
it ain't on, it's everywhere around.
Yeah,
We
and
was
it's
in a meeting.
sad.
Mayor was gonna be, we were gonna be in Nashville, Jackson, months ago. All of them crying about that same thing, in every county, because money-wise, they don't have the money to do it all. It's all mixed up. So it's a problem, but the mayor's worked on that some, and he's got some good ideas that he's gonna discuss some of it here for us, in a few minutes.
What a lot, you see all these challenges, like the kids are doing this cinnamon tap challenge and all this stuff. Well, there's a challenge out there now, and it's pick up trash challenge, and they're asking all these kids that do all this other crazy stuff to just take a section and just clean it up, and it's starting to become very, very popular. All we can do on our part is do what we can do from our own homes in hopes that we teach and encourage others to do that.
Well, I'm picking up my road 4 times a week, cause
One of the worst roads is the industrial road out here by Carhart. It's terrible. I've walked there for several years. You find dirty diapers, you find
I got
everything in
that.
the world out there, and I just don't understand. And then you look down in the creek over there and there's garbage down. I don't understand that. I don't understand why they can't carry one of those little Walmart bags in their vehicles and just throw the trash in there. I don't understand it, but it was one of the trashiest roads that I've ever seen.
I've caught them actually backing their truck in across, I live on Spence Road. Backing in, and start to dump their trash. And I just went up, got their license plate number, I said, you can either put that back in your truck and go to the landfill, or I'm calling the sheriff's department and turning you in.
Yeah.
It's
It's just
ludicrous. If you've already
education.
got it loaded up, why can you not go to the landfill?
Well, yeah, and I hate to say it, but it's just laziness. It's just easier to just toss it out the window than it is to take and just put it in a little bag. I don't understand it.
Well, the liter bottles with meth residue in them, I have called the sheriff's department. And this is one more of my issues, is we do not have a hazmat thing anymore. And when I brought the 2 bottles up to my property and called the sheriff's department, the deputy put the 2 bottles in the trunk of his vehicle. Now, this was 7 years ago, mind you. And I said, what are you doing with that? Don't you have a hazmat team? We don't have that anymore in Benton County. I said, well, what are you gonna do with it? He said, I'm taking it to the landfill. I said, you're gonna throw it in the landfill. Well, what else are we supposed to do with it?
It was,
And I
Marquis
just-
was supposed to have been called at that point. He's our emergency management go-to.
Well, since then, they've run off the manufacturers down on the other end of the road,
Okay.
so I haven't had any more of that. Lord knows how much more of it is over in the woods down by the creek, but I'm working my way back into the woods.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Michael Fox.
Yeah, I put my name on there in case you need to speak. I've never been to one of these meetings or anything before. On Fox Sanitation, that's why I'm here, due to garbage. And I figured I need to be up here because of that.
Glad to have you.
Thank you.
There's nobody else on the list. Does anybody else wanna speak before we go on to our meeting? We appreciate everybody coming tonight. We need a good crowd every time we have a meeting. We've got Wanda, you wanna go ahead and get your part over it? May last longer than you wanna stay tonight, I don't know. So we'll, turn it over to Wanda, let her, go through the.
I'm Wanda Bazell. I'm with the Northwest Tennessee Development District, and I'm the solid waste planner. Every year, this time of year, I come up here, I interviewed Mayor Lashley, and we talked about what needs to go into the solid waste report. And then I write what he wants, and then I present it to you. The annual progress report really changed this year. You know, before they had the annual progress report, and then they had questions along and with it, regarding the update to the 10-year plan. But this year, they knocked all that out. It's separate, annual progress report, the 10-year plan, or the update to the 10-year plan. A new section called TDEC, survey questions. And so we had to fill all those out, and when we vote tonight, I'm gonna need y'all to vote on both the 10-year plan and on the annual progress report, okay?
And for those of you who are not familiar with this, for us to receive grants and everything, we have to meet state standards by reduction in waste in our county. And I know a lot of you don't know that, but a lot of the businesses around here do help us out by reducing, you know, extra solid waste. Wanda is our angel who contacts all these businesses and agencies, and she gets their annual reduction and keeps us in line and up to par with the state.
I think I have enough copies for everybody. If anybody wants, does everybody want one? Okay, thanks.
And we get to see.
Okay, last year, if you remember, I was concerned because during 2017, the third and fourth quarters of the year, your disposal doubled.
The first and fourth quarters?
The third and fourth quarters of 20. They went back to normal. If you notice on the West Camden landfill, that's 22,959. Your total for all 4 landfills is 23,314.61 tons, everything's reported in tons. In 2017, last year, it was 31,762, so you went down, 8,447 tons. And I know there had to be something going in there that we weren't aware of. It's happened to another county of mine this year, and we're trying to work it out, but theirs doubled for the whole year. New in this report, we had to separate out the residential recycling, the institutional. Institutional is your hospitals, your schools, your colleges. Commercial and industrial, and then your 3-4 landfills. Recycling and diversion. Diversion is anything you do to keep it out of a landfill. Like, we have 3-4 landfills in Tennessee, and if you have construction and demolition waste, you can take it to those landfills. That does not count against you in this report, it counts for you, because everything that goes in those landfills has to be biodegradable. Like brush, wood, untreated wood, just things like that. Now, your residential recycling here in Benton County is 157.72 tons. That's your waste tires. Right now, there is no recycling done by the county. Hopefully, that's gonna change, but right now, there's not. Your commercial recycling diversion is 42.2 tons. Now, that's going to increase. Back in the old days, I could call Walmart and get your numbers and put your numbers in here. Now the state won't let us do that anymore. We get a statewide, report from Walmart for everybody in the state. And the state hadn't seen it yet. It's never been this late. We've been close before, but it's never been this late. So you're gonna have about 500 more tons in there, between 500 and 600. Walmart, excellent at recycling. Their leftover food, they compost it. I mean, everything is recycled at Walmart. Now your industrial, on the last page, I've got all your commercial, industrial, and institutional recycling. I was sweating it pretty bad. As of last Friday, I had you at 10%. And then maybe at 25%. We cannot make people give us their numbers. It's optional for these businesses to do that. But they really got tired of me calling, so I got the last 3 Monday. So I'm on a first name basis with every one of them.
And if you heard, we have to meet 25% reduction a year. That's a have to.
That's
Or
a
we
have
lose
to.
all grants and everything.
And TDEC's over not just solid waste grants, they're also over your park and rec grants. So it can hurt. But anyway, bless their hearts, Coal Pallet, S&W Pallet, and Camden Hardwood all reported to me Monday. So anyway, I got those numbers. Now that got you up to 32.14%.
Now, will that go up?
That will
Because-
go up when I get the Walmart
Yes,
numbers.
that'd be great.
It's probably gonna go up probably at least a point, a whole point. Last year, you only had 25.89%, but that's because of that extra disposal, for it doubling. It usually runs, about 5,000-6,000 tons a quarter. And that's only Benton County's waste that goes in West County. So anyway, that's better. Another new, entry in the annual progress report, we have to report on every municipality within the county. The municipalities have been great. I was really dreading that, because you don't know, I don't see them as much. I have 52 municipalities, I got 52 to report. Big Sandy and Camden will bring about it, got their answers real quick. But, that's the annual progress report, we're part of this.
And we do this every year,
Yes.
same time every year.
It's always in March. I tried to make it as late as possible this year, hoping to get those Walmart numbers, but
And
And you did say the same thing last year about the people not reporting on time.
Yes.
It's every year, it's every year.
They should realize how stressed out they make me doing that. I'm like, man. Next year, I promise you, I am emailing everyone. I had a lot of trouble with the mail. You know, people say, well, we never got it. I had too many people telling me that this time. So all the ones that I had to email after this before, I'm gonna email next year. I'm old school, I still use stamps.
But we thank these businesses for doing that for us.
Yes,
They're-
they don't have to, they don't, and I know at S&W, they had sickness there, she had the flu, and there was all this stuff going on, she still got me the number, so I can't say enough good
They usually
about
pretty
it.
good out there, like.
Really good.
What is Covia?
It used to be, you know,
Covia. What is Covia?
It used to be that on 70,
Unimum or something.
Unimum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be that. And I meant to put that in parentheses, cause I'm like, who are these people?
but there's a lot of businesses that don't.
Yes. And also, anytime any of these businesses report, and we have lost businesses reporting because of this, if any of their figures goes up 10% or down 10%, I've got to explain why. But when your disposal goes up 50%, there wasn't an explanation, so I'm working on that. I think that needs to be worked on.
Our own PI.
Okay, the next part I wanna talk about, Mayor Lashley had some very good ideas on updating this 10-year plan. We are estimating that of all your waste stream includes your recycling, it includes your disposal, it includes your brush, anything like that. Your total waste stream, probably the residential is 40%, the commercial is 20%, institutional is 20%, and industrial is 20%. That's, like I said, that's your total waste stream. Most of the counties, your residents are gonna make up 40 to 60% of the disposal in the landfills. Because the industries will do as much as they can to not throw away anything because they have to pay for it. Nothing changed on your collection systems. The Benton County residents are fortunate that they don't have to pay for disposal. Both Camden and Big Sandy provide their own collection services. And the West Camden landfill has a capacity of at least 25 more years. So, they are now getting a lot from Middle Tennessee because a lot of the landfills are having to shut down in Middle Tennessee. They have run out of space. And, West Tennessee is fortunate. We've got landfills with adequate space and room to grow. So you can say you're fortunate, or you can say you're not fortunate.
Okay, so you're saying they have 25 years without having to open another
Yes.
sale at their current?
At their current location. That's what the report said that I get from the state.
Well, I'm a driver for MBI, and, so we're waiting on a cell to open in Cedar Ridge.
Okay.
I haul out of Antioch every day,
Okay.
so,
Well, there was, did the one at Dixon close?
No.
not that I know of.
Well,
Okay, there
There-
was one really big one that closed, or it's gonna close within 5 years.
well, okay, the landfill closed, but they got a convenience center there where we dump off. I pick up Benton, Humphreys, and Dixon County, so
Okay.
I do, drop garbage off in Dixon. They bring it here is where they bring it.
But it has increased numbers at the West Camden landfill with these closing, which if you get a host fee.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me, that's a
$4.50.
question to find out if our host fees have increased with the increase in tonnage down there, and the mayor's office would know that.
I know, I'm pretty sure the plan is when the new cell opens, I've been told that all the drivers will be making, I think, at least 2 trips to Cedar Ridge and then 1 to Camden.
Okay. Okay.
That is if the wait time, and, I mean, we're truck drivers, so we got E-logs and if time permits.
Okay.
So you think that'll decrease from Camden West 70 and increase over there?
I mean, this is just me personally. I'm not a representative for NBI, I think it will.
Okay.
Well, the state had told us that within 5 years, 3 large landfills in Middle Tennessee is gonna close. I was thinking it was Dixon, but maybe it's not. It could, Clarksville, maybe.
I've only been to Antioch, I've been working there for about 10 months, so only place I've hauled out of is Antioch. And, the Cedar Ridge and Camden are the 2 landfills I've been to.
Okay, Mayor Lashley is thinking ahead, and, we're supposed to describe the county's needs for waste collection capacity. There's 2 troubling spots in the county, the northern end and the southern end, and he is thinking about putting convenience centers in the northern end and the southern end just to stop the illegal dumping, so. And that's a great idea. We have convenience center grants that will, pay 90% of that. So that's, and anything like that has to be put in here before you can apply for it.
You take care of all that for us.
I do, yeah, I double check it and triple check it. Another, in the future, have a recycling program here. And that's gonna take time, that takes more money than a convenience center. But let the convenience centers get on track and then start a recycling program. But one thing that Mayor Lashley wants, and I cover 9 counties, and I know a lot about a lot of the other counties. Anytime you have a landfill within your county, whether it's private or whether it's public, if the county owns it or if a private individual owns it, you need a solid waste director. I do needs assessments for, all my counties, and every time I've done one for Benton County, that's my #1 need, that Benton County, they really need it. You need someone to oversee that. So that's in here, along with the solid waste department. And you were talking about the hazmat stuff. Benton County has not had a household hazardous waste event since I've been doing y'all's work. So I've been doing it for 18 years. I think if you get a solid waste department, maybe that can happen. The state comes out and does those.
The only reason I brought it up is I was having a discussion with a deputy the other night, and he had told me about them having to disable meth labs when they're out on calls. And they have to be certified for that. But once they disabled it, there's 3, I don't know if they're like trucks or what, one in the west, middle, and in East Tennessee, that they called to come out to get these meth labs. And my question was, why are you disabling them? Why aren't these people coming out and doing this? Because this person had, well, I'm not gonna go into that. But, anyways, it surprised me that our deputies and that were responsible for doing this. And supposedly there were only 2 of them that were actually certified to do that. However, others were doing it. So, my jaw just hit the floor when I thought, why are our deputies disabling meth labs? I mean, how dangerous is that if you don't know what you're doing? So, I'm hoping that they do something with this hazmat stuff.
The county is dependent on the private entities who report, for this report that we've been working on. And, we hope to improve those numbers by getting a solid waste department and a solid waste director to lead that program. Cause they are doing like the waste tires we're talking about, you really need one person to look over those waste tires, you know, to bring them in, to count them, to manifest for them, to bill for them. You need one person, and, you know, instead of several, because sometimes the right doesn't know what the left's doing. Everywhere, not just here. Had to do a timeline, hoping in 2020, have a solid waste department created with the solid waste director, let that get established, and then later on at the convenience centers and the recycling. And that's your plan.
Okay.
Very good, very good.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you say your last name again?
Bazell, F-U-Z-Z-E-L-L. I'm married into it, I wasn't born with it. And then we have the TDEC survey questions. These are just, you know, what kind of grants do you think you're gonna be going for? We went ahead and put the convenience center grants down because, that grant won't be offered to July. Might not make it this July, maybe the next July. But, the convenience center grants are really good grants, and plus Benton County only has a 10% match. It's really worth it to go for. And, that's all I have, unless there's more questions.
Anyway, motion approved it.
I'll make a motion to
I'll
approve.
second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor, let it know, saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. We really thank you for, doing all this work, and she knows a lot about it. She can explain it to a lot better than I can, or than anybody else probably, because she messes with us every day, and.
She knows what the state wants.
You know, and she has, a lot of times, she's gotta talk to the state pretty straight, cause it's a lot of figures is all of it's gotta work out right, and you know, it can't be guesswork and stuff like that, so she's been doing it like I said for, you've been coming up here for 18 years, I guess, you know, so, I appreciate all you do on that, it really helps us out a lot, you know, and that's how we get these grants for different things, cause she knows what you can get, what you can't. You know, if we get a solid, waste director, there's a lot of grants we can get, and she's the person that knows a lot of that, with some of them that we got in the state too, will help us on that.
And I wanna commend Mayor Lashley, he has hit the ground running on solid waste, recycling, all of that. I mean, he called me pretty quick after he got elected.
Well, you've been after that for a long time, I'll tell you.
Oh,
Yes, absolutely.
I might clone you and put you in some other counties. I need some help on
I don't think you need to go nowhere yet, we still got a lot of work here to do, but
And see, a
anyway.
lot of people don't know what goes on behind the scenes. They have no idea what we have to do to make the state happy, so we can get grants and stuff, so. This lady has been our angel in disguise right there, and she knows it, and it's grant time, and she knows how to fill out the doc, she knows what the state wants to see and wants to hear.
Are most of the grants coming through TDEC?
Well, the solid waste grants, yes, in July, they will have, a recycling equipment grant, convenience center grant. A used oil grant's good, it might go hand in hand, but used oil grants are really good because they're 100% funded. There's no match, but it's a good way to heat a building. I've got a lot of the sheriff's departments, maintenance shops that use them, county highway departments. A lot of the highway departments in their buildings use them. But it's a good grant, and it's just about if you apply for it, you get it, because every time you buy a quart of oil, that money goes into the used oil grant program, and it's used good.
If anybody else got anything else for us, I'm gonna turn it over to the mayor and let him, present the program here to us.
Well, thank you, for board, and, you know, I'm the new guy on the block, but I've been in office a good 7 months, so I don't think, I'm not a face that you don't know or I haven't met you yet, but you know, this officially would be my first annual, meeting as county mayor. And, just to tell you a little bit about my style is, you have to understand the issue before you attack it. And I think, with rural counties experience a lot of challenges, a lot of problems, and we tend to maybe rush to judgments, or we wanna, like run around with chickens with their head cut off type syndrome. And I knew that I've been to a couple of these meetings prior, and I knew that this wasn't something that you just can wake up one day and just understand everything and solve all the world's problems. So my style is to first of all try my best to understand the issue, because in understanding the issue, it helps in coming up with the proper solution to address it. So that's a little bit about my style and how I approach solid waste, but I'm very passionate about this as well. Part of my leadership style is to make sure that the board that represents you, the citizens of this county, is also passionate about what they believe in and what they do, the purpose that they serve to the community. And so anyone that I appoint going forth, you can bet that they're going to be someone who believes in their mission and the value that they serve to the community, and they have a passion to do it, because we all know in public service, everyone has somewhat of a capacity here. You're never going to be right. You're never going to please everybody. You're going to have to take all the flack, and it can wear you down. It can wear you down. And so I want them to be energized. I want them to know that they have someone that has their back, that they have a mayor who can lead the charge or take the bullets or whatever I need to do to allow them to do their job and to do their role for our community. So I do feel excited about the future of our waste situation here in Benton County. Now, I'll start off with saying we've got a bad history, right? I mean, you only have to look west or you only have to look east to realize that dumping in Benton County hasn't been a kind of a successful endeavor, right? Government bears a lot of that responsibility, because government ultimately years ago had the oversight over it, right? But Waste Management's this big old corporate multi-billion-dollar company that comes into our community, and because like I say, we're on Facebook, and this is also an education moment. But years and years ago, when Waste Management came in, we were looking at a multi-million-dollar problem out there at the landfill. And so the leadership at the time in government opted to go that private industry route. Now, there were some things done that maybe we wouldn't have all done the same way, but ultimately either the county was going to be faced with a multi-million-dollar fix, or maybe the corporate guy down the street can come in and kind of ride in like the knight in shining armor and kind of save the day. So I'm not one that's going to sit here and criticize Waste Management. They probably did this county a huge favor in taking that headache of a landfill over and manage it. Waste Management does this for a living, okay? This is how they make their money. This is their primary product that they produce. And so I'm one of these that tends to be a little over scrutiny in the beginning, and watch them very closely to understand that they're going to be on the up and up. But in my interviews with the experts, and these are with CTAS or Northwest Tennessee Development District, other counties, they tend to believe that Waste Management actually does a very good job. That they don't want to make a mistake, because they know in making a mistake, if fines were involved or any type of thing like that, that hurts their business down the road. So it's not that they're white as, pure as can be, but overall they do run a very efficient operation. And I think that where we have failed as a county is we've not offered that olive branch. I see Waste Management should be in partnership with Benton County. We need to bring them into the discussions that we have on solid waste. Just about a month ago, I actually invited Waste Management, and they came in my office. I met with 3 representatives, and they were dumbfounded in a way, because they said this is the first time we've been invited to just discuss and talk. But they were optimistic. They liked that. They want to be a good, what I call, community partner, but they've never either been asked or they've never been approached the proper way. So I like, hey, when life gives you lemons, let's make lemonade. We already know that Waste Management is going to be here for a very long time. So the more they feel connected to the community, I believe the more they're going to help us in protecting the community and beautifying the community. So I look forward to some discussions that we'll have with Waste Management simply as a community partner, and getting them to hopefully partner with us in some of these endeavors that we've got on our goals, because 2 heads are better than 1, and it's sure a lot easier to fight the battle of waste knowing that you've got more people on your side. So that's my approach to Waste Management. With the EWS landfill, we know that is a whole different monster, that is now an environmental, I guess you can say, challenge that we have. TDEC is doing all they can to assist us in that, but going down the road, our main concern is going to be in trash and dealing with the landfill in the West Camden area. I'm glad that Fox Sanitation is here as well. We will invite you to every single meeting that we have. You are a valuable voice in how we can improve, and you can assist us in a lot of efforts. You already said that you pick up from multiple counties, and so it's easy for someone to say, well, are they being accurate in your numbers? Is Dixon County or Humphreys County or these other counties' waste going in and being counted as Benton County waste? And so we need you on our side. We need you discussing with us and seeing as how we can get good, accurate records, because what happens is even if there's a mistake, I mean, even if it's an honest mistake, and we tend to mix our residue and trash, well, what that means is now Benton County has to come up with a higher recycling number. And so accuracy in our numbers is very important. And I'll get to a little bit of that here in a minute, because we mentioned what we have is a county. We have the largest landfill that I don't know, it might be in Tennessee. I know between Memphis and Nashville, it probably is. And we've got this corporate partner who pays us a lot of money each month. I've seen checks as high as $81,000 coming in on a monthly basis, but we've also seen from about a couple years ago where they were down in the 20s, So we know that waste can fluctuate, but the more it fluctuates, it builds distrust in us as to whether, are they playing above board? Are the numbers correct? Is the tonnage correct? Are the weight scales? I mean, these are processes that we don't know as individuals, and we're never going to know. Because I can't have Lindy go out there one day and stand, and I can't have Bonnie go out there one day and stand. You know what I mean? So we need a vehicle. We need a tool that allows us the mechanism of compliance and validation. Second of all, we talked about convenience centers. Well, they don't run themselves. So someone's got to be there on site, boots on the ground, to monitor that. These waste situations that we see in these yards, okay, we've got to have what you call our enforcer that goes around and determines, hey, these people need to be either cited or something needs to be followed up. And so the tire recycling program, we've got regular recycling, we've got illegal dumping, we've got eyes on waste management, we've got all these moving parts, but we don't have the component in place to monitor. So I believe the first step in solving a lot of our problems is at least the creation of the department. And all I did, some of you have got, I kind of handed it out, a concept of creation document. I probably should have stamped draft on this, because that's all it is. It's just ideas, it's not reality, and honestly, we can't achieve a lot of it right off the block. You know, just looking at ahead as what would it cost financially to probably fund the department? I figured it would be $150,000 to probably have a department funded. We don't have that money, okay? And we have to work our way up to that point where we can adequately fund a department to be our boots on the ground. But it doesn't mean that the creation of the department isn't a needed component within our government. So I'm gonna ask this board to recommend that creation, because before it can get to the county commission, the board has to recommend it. The county commission and the budget committee will fund whatever they wanna fund. I'm gonna recommend that they either fund it with $100 or $1,000 just to get it started. What I want to get us by is simply the creation of the department, so we've got an entity in place to begin this process of applying for these grants, okay? And unofficially, I will serve as the solid waste director, probably for a few years. But if we do an effective job and being able to get this department started, we can get these convenience centers started. We could probably get a recycling grants coming in. We can find a location to be our host office area. We can do a lot of things just simply having this in place and applying for the grants, and just having the county body and this board kind of be our boots on the ground element until we can get this to a point where we can turn it over to what I call a full-time director. I believe in this document, I kind of mentioned that it probably needs a couple of people. Probably needs a director and it needs a staff assistant. And but we do have the money, and it should be coming from waste management. If there's one county probably in Tennessee that should have a Cadillac of a solid waste department, it should be Benton County. But we have become dependent upon these monies that waste management is funneling into us on a monthly basis to kind of feed these other needs within the community. I believe over time, if these payments continue to be on the rise as we've seen them, we need to be disciplined as a county body and pulling off a segment of that money and saying we're going to dedicate that to a solid waste department. Secondly, our fees, our contract is one that goes, I believe, until 2031, okay? And the host fees will gradually increase over time. Our host fee, I believe, Wanda, isn't that bad compared to other counties. I believe our host fee, is probably one of the better rates. We can, in time, look at a surcharge, and if we ever get to a point of having a surcharge on tonnage, then that is by law supposed to funnel to your solid waste department, okay? So we've got options, and we can look at this down the road, but right now we're under a contractual obligation to waste management and the host fee scale that was set in that original contract. So we're gonna have to plan well, and I hate to say it like this, but the trash is really our oil well. I mean, it's the only thing that's producing a revenue stream for this county that is kind of keeping us going on many elements financially. But I would like to see that the county commission, with the budget committee, with the solid waste board, begin looking ahead, maybe 3 years down the road, 2 or 3 years down the road, and determine just what we need to siphon off and dedicate towards a fully functional solid waste department. Now, let's talk about illegal dumping. Okay. It's easy to blame when we see these sites on Eva Road, it's easy to blame the person, the inhabitants. And I don't want to blanketly label everyone. However, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it must be a duck. And plain and simple, we've got a lot of lazy people, a lot of disrespectful people in this community who anyone believes in throwing trash in their yard and accumulating trash and having disrespect for their neighbors, their county, the environment. That bothers me. I've seen poor people live just as responsible and diligently and you know, like I say, clean as the rich man down the block. So poverty does not equate to being a trash bum and disrespectful to the environment with just basically illegal dumping all over yards. So that argument is not going to hold weight with me. Another thing is we hear about zoning and we hear about codes and government control or whatever. Well, I'm telling you, when you're just put it this way, when you're downstream or downwind from a contaminant, then hold that argument to me. You know, what's going in your well water? You know, what are you breathing in the air? What's blowing downwind into your yard? And so anyone that wants to argue zoning and control and codes with me, I'll debate you all day long, you know, and I'll go to battle on the truth and the law. Okay, so that's where we get in now. We've got the law on our side, and not only do we have one law, we have got multiple laws. So these letters, Lindy, that you had talked about early, the illegal dumping, I feel like there's several ways to approach it. We have one landfill, and not everyone wants to subscribe to Fox Sanitation or a service like that. But then again, if you live in the south end of the county or the north end of the county, you realize you may have a 30-mile drive just to drop off 3 or 4 hefty trash bags, right? Mm-hmm. So in a way, the convenience element is not there. So when the convenience element is not there, it invites illegal dumping, okay? Here's where the convenience centers play a very valuable role in our community. It's because before I go blaming people for just general laziness, I at least want to have some solid, I guess you can say, aspects backing me up. Meaning, don't tell me that it's inconvenient because you have a convenience center 3 miles down the road, okay? So I feel like we need a couple of them in the south end of the county, and we need one of them in the north end of the county. And the reason I say one of them is because if you look at the road situation, Commissioner Ronnie Hopper, who sits on this board now, he and I really brought out all the maps, and in the north end of the county, the roads will converge. So they have one way in and one way out. So we're looking at trying to put something up that's going to be convenient to them. And
just a quick clarification for me, I want to be sure I understand. Convenience center meaning a public dumping facility that the waste dumped at that facility is then transported from there to the landfill. Correct.
It'd be like the Dixie dumpster type situation. But also in these convenience centers, you can also set up elements of recycling in them as well. So the recycling comes into play because we tend to believe that recycling has to be a money maker, you know. Now, but recycling does a lot more to your public conscience than just making money. If people separate plastics from glass, from cardboard, from regular, you know, pretty soon their conscience, they become good conscience environmental citizens to that degree. And so whether it's a profitable effort or not, doesn't mean it doesn't have a positive impact on our community. So recycling is an important endeavor that this county should always promote and should always make available to the public. This is where our corporate partner, Waste Management, comes into play again. They've got multiple type of programs like this. Making them a partner, bringing them in with our vision, again, gives us better working relationships with them going down the road. And it could save us a lot of money as well. They've already got money dedicated that they can put in assistance towards these recycling convenience centers. By all means, I can tell you one thing, we're not gonna get anything if we don't ask for it. And if we don't build a relationship with them, then we're never really gonna get anywhere with it. But let's get to illegal dumping. So one of my understandings early on was, okay, I wanna blame that landowner for throwing the trash and doing all this, but let me at least take away that argument that, well, I didn't have anywhere to throw it. It's a 35-mile drive to town or something. So these convenience centers kind of give us a little bit more credence to our argument when we say, don't tell us it wasn't a convenient option for you. So what we're going to do is, via our solid waste department, we are going to basically, whether it be from a general complaint or a general observation, we are going to begin sending letters, not to the resident of that property, but to the property owner. Because as we know, there's multiple people in Benton County who own multiple properties, okay? And to me, they are responsible for keeping their tenants as responsible dumpers, okay? So these letters are not going to be going to the resident of that household or property. These letters are going to be going to the property owners, okay? And they'll have to police their residents, because we cite, I've got one letter, but this is the general letter that kind of will come from the mayor's office. And if someone calls in and says, hey, I've got a home out on Eva Road, you know, maybe we'll do a drive-by just to verify that we're not sending prank letters out, but there'll be some validity to, yes, that's definitely a concern of ours, and we'll send them a letter. And this letter basically will be from me and the sheriff, because the sheriff ultimately is in charge of the enforcement, right? They're breaking the law, and we cite multiple laws on that letter. And it's basically saying, we're monitoring this, we're going to give you so much time to what you call self-comply, okay? Now, some of the verbiage in our state laws and things like that say you've got 10 days to respond to a letter. But we're going to be a little bit more lenient on it, and we're going to give them 30 days. But again, I want the board to review the letters. I want y'all to tell us what you're in agreement with. But you've got 30 days after notice of this letter to basically rebut the letter, protest the letter. And if you do not, we reserve the right to take action. But we want to make sure we're diligent in our efforts. So the final letter to say we really mean business is going to be sent back to the property owner via certified letter. And it's not going to be generalized. It's going to specifically identify the property that we have identified as being a hazard within that community. It can cover blight, it can cover dumping, whatever that may be a hazard to the environment, the groundwater, the air, your neighbor, okay? And so we're going to send them a more specific letter to follow up the generalized letter. Now that letter will say pretty much, again, you're offered 30 days for a protest. So, who are they going to protest to? I mean, I've got crocodile tears, right? Lindy, you'd be a good one. On my side, I mean, if they protest us, don't come crying to us. We hold a bias, and we already hold somewhat of a prejudice towards that situation. So we have to create a kind of a community appeal board, okay, that will fall under the oversight of the solid waste. And this community board can be made up of one person from each district, 2 people from each district, but basically general citizens, because what's trash to me may not be trash to Miss Kyle here, okay? Just because you have a lot of lawnmowers rusting in your front yard does not mean that that is trash.
Those are future
Okay?
plans.
It could be parts, it could be scrap metal, but it doesn't look good to me, right? I'm bothered. So that's why I say these letters don't always represent the right approach. But they are our legal grounds to take action. But we need to have what you call an appeal board, a protest board, where a property owner can come before a non-biased board to their fellow citizens and say, listen, I collect tires, or I collect lawnmowers, or whatever it is, they'll have their opportunity to present their case. And the board may say, listen, you've got 200 tires in your yard. Tires are not an environmental hazard. I mean, my mind keeps wanting to say that tires are an environmental hazard, but they're really a health hazard because they accumulate water and the Zika virus and West Nile virus, so they're a health hazard. So the board may just recommend stack your tires up, put them so far off the road, keep them somewhat obscure. Maybe that's the recommendation. But a lot of these cases, as we know, are just simply dumping in the gullies and the ditches, and it devalues property, okay? And we already have we're a rural county that is heavily reliant upon property taxes, and so when properties are devalued, when people aren't buying property because, hey, I don't want to live next to that, it hurts us. So we got to have the oversight and the enforcement and the will to enforce, and then at the end of the day also give the fair and unbiased ability for a citizen to appeal the decisions, because some of these might be, hey, just clean up your yard, take 30 more days, get your yard cleaned, or do this before we have to act. Some of these might be simple solutions, but when we have to act, there's going to be two ways that we have to look at this. And this is where the funding of the department comes in. I don't want to have to go to Commissioner Melton and Hopper and others to say, hey, we need money to clean this up, right? So I want to fund the solid waste department eventually with what I call an account, a little bit of fluff. Because a lot of the cleanup I want to pull from that department. And at the end of the day, we will assess a lien on that property. That's why I say it's not the resident of that property, it's the property owner. And if it costs us $2,500 to clean it up, we put a $2,500 lien on that property. Somehow, some way, we're going to be paid back for that particular action that we take. Now, if they pay it or not, it kind of gives us an assurance that the taxpayer won't be out the ultimate cost. But there's going to be some cases where, I'll pick on Mr. Melton here, whatever. You're just in the wrong place. But let's say let's just say he's got a house and he's elderly. He sits on a road, and he's just in a bad location. Okay, and the people drive by and throw trash on his property. Okay, I don't feel like he should be penalized for that. I mean, he needs the community's help. He's trying, maybe he's the one reporting it, but he just lives in that bad spot where people throw trash off on his property and he doesn't get out around and check it out. The county still has the option of saying, you know what, Mr. Melton, we're concerned about the environmental impact. We're going to clean it up for you, and we'll maybe set a threshold of saying everything, we'll clean up to this amount or we'll clean it all up. But as we know, in the beginning years when this gets going, we'll probably clean up a lot of properties, okay? Build an expensive endeavor. But the second year, that might be 30 properties we don't have to clean up that year. And over time, we're going to start basically retracting a lot of the illegal dumping in Benton County. And I believe when we get it up and running and it's running properly, it might be 5-10 years down the road when we really hit that level where, you know what, now we've got a Cadillac of a solid waste department. We've got all the mechanisms in place. We've got the staffing to and the funding to basically run it. And as residents of this county, we're beginning to see our county be cleaned up. You know, and it shows a little bit of respect and pride for the county. And I think once we establish an expectation and a standard, it gets easy, but we've got to get to that point. And again, that concept of creation, I know I don't wanna give the commissioners a heart attack at looking at some of the numbers, but those are the numbers where when we finally hit that day, that's probably where we should be financially with that department and how it should operate. And again, it's a work in progress. So I encourage anyone that wants a copy of this document, I will be more than happy to provide it to you and email it, because we need feedback. You know, this is always gonna be a work in progress. So one of the challenges and requests that I had for this solid waste board is, first of all, I want you to recommend that we create the department. And don't worry about funding. The funding is a completely different mechanism. But we've got to create something. If we fund it with $1, at least we have something in place that we can build on, and then I can begin applying for grants and get these things in action and get them moving. So that's first of all. Second of all, and I did not get the document in my hand in time, but we also have to create somewhat of a citizens oversight board. And oversight board, you can't, or appeal board. Now, we don't want a complete blanket appeal board, because we'll be hearing everything, okay? An appeal board that's specifically related to the solid waste element within our county. When I get somewhat of a document in place, we'll have another meeting and I'll recommend that particular resolution be passed. If you're familiar with any of them, you can email it to us as a template and we can tweak it. But we don't need to be sending out letters, threats, persuasive actions or anything like that without having that appeal board in place. So I want if the board can just review these two letters, because again, if you see any changes, approvals, I would like to have your buy-in on this as well. If there's any questions that you may have as far as the concept of creation, these are just ideas that I'll be more than happy to tell you what I was thinking on that. Getting back to the convenience centers, it has been suggested that we talk with TVA. TVA has a lot of land around the county that they may be willing to either deed off to us or do an interlocal agreement where they've got a lot of gravel pits, whatever it may be. There's one in Big Sandy in the back of your packet. That's that property up in Big Sandy that TVA may be a great partner, and we haven't approached them yet, but we need to begin identifying some locations around the county that's going to be convenient. I would prefer not to buy property with all the property the county has in its possession. I'd like to utilize some of those properties that we already own and identify locations, but I do believe we've got to make it convenient for the citizen. Mr. Fox, we'll talk about trash. His father came in and spoke with me. We get a lot of complaints about the trash along the road. And there's state highways and there's county highways. And the sheriff, I don't know what his population is on any given day and how that litter program works, or whether he has 5 people out there one day and he waits a week. I don't know. But I would like to have a partnership with the sheriff and our sanitation companies, that we're all being cognizant of trash on the road. Is it blowing out of the trucks, going up and down the road? Anything that you can do to help us, of course, it helps keep the county beautified, and it keeps the trash and litter from the road. It keeps the complaints down, and we are very dependent upon the private operators being very cognizant and diligent on that.
Yeah, when I first started, I put several companies out of business. It had a lot to do with cattle racks. They were using cattle racks and stuff was just blowing out top. And I had one of the ladies at the Camden Chronicle tell me she was about to do something take some pictures and all that, cause the county is getting pretty bad. And when I took over, I seen that this stuff was going out of the back of these trucks, and the company that I bought had the same thing. So what I did was I built boxes on mine where, you know, it contained the whole thing. But with that said, I pick up over 1,200 customers. I'm not gonna be able to contain everything. You know, I've been in business 20-something years, so if I said I've never lost a piece of garbage, that's not true, you know. But I guess where I'm going with this, these people out here that decide to haul their own garbage themselves, you'll see them. Some of them will take and leave like their old pickup truck in the yard there, and when it gets rounded over, that's when they decide to take it. And I'll see them up there, there's all like dripping out of their trucks and all that, and they have to have somebody jump it off because they ain't drove it and whenever. But that's where most of your garbage is coming from, is those people there that aren't containing their garbage when they finally do go to the landfill.
And I know that you're one of the better ones. I mean, believe me, because I know people that work with or some of your customers, and they have nothing but high marks for you. And really, y'all do a great job, because we couldn't do it. I mean, honestly, your service cuts down on a lot of the illegal dumping within the county. But again, we all want to work as partners in this, and. When it comes to state roads, I found out that the state contracts their litter pickup, okay? And they just started picking up. They usually wait till April, but I've called them 100 times, you know, and so they are finally out. I believe they started last week picking up trash along the state highways. But we still have to be diligent as a citizenry and you know, Benton Countyans to take the due diligence to cover up trash if you're going to the dump and all that, because it looks bad. We're a tourist county, especially driving down Eva Road where people are going to put in boats and recreation. It looks really, really bad. But I'll work with the sheriff a little bit on improving the situation, and if nothing prohibits him from picking up on the state highways. I think his litter grant is specific to county highways, but prisoners all need good exercise anyway. And the fact that they're out picking up on a state highway, I don't think anyone's going to object to that. So, but that's something we've seen lately is the state highway starting to be picked up.
Places where I've been, they don't, the convenience centers won't accept a load unless it's covered.
Say that again?
Places where I've seen, like out in California and different places, they will not accept a load of trash, like even just, you know, like you or I, whoever was bringing a load of trash up to the convenience center, you couldn't take it up there if it wasn't loaded, if it wasn't covered, they wouldn't accept it. You take it back home.
Well, and I guess that's the ultimate way you want to build up to it. I won't say beggars can't be choosy if it's a way to get trash out of being illegally dumped. But that's where having a solid waste person on the ground policing that situation that day. That's why we need, ultimately, we're going to need a body or two within solid waste, and to make sure that we have them as our enforcers, you know, on these convenience centers.
Where would the manpower and equipment come from to get the waste from the convenience center to the dump itself?
That's going to be the partnership with Waste Management, and I know MBI possibly, maybe we have to pay for it. You know, again, maybe we can buy a truck. Maybe the solid waste director can at least say, if you can get it here, I can take it there. But that's a challenge that we'll have to resolve eventually. But again, I want to bring Waste Management on board. I want to bring them into discussion with us. I want us to know each other on a first name basis. They were invited to this tonight, but they were out of town and couldn't attend. But future meetings, I would like to have them here to answer questions as well and what they can and cannot do. But
is there any aspect of the convenience center grant that deals with the transportation issue of, like, it's just strictly for,
It's the facility and the equipment.
okay, so then how it gets from A to B
Right.
is the
It won't
county's.
cover staffing, anything like
Sure.
that, but fencing, the facility and the equipment, it will cover all those.
Which is still, I mean, it's a good step in the right direction, you know.
I do know that Waste Management, provides the ballpark out there at the industrial park where the dumpster used to, and they used to come and empty it for free. They did not charge the county. And it's right there on the end. They used to do that when we were at the ballpark.
So are we building bigger government?
Say again?
Are we building bigger government?
Well, you know, is it, yes, I mean, is the solid waste department more government? Yes. But is it a needed component of the government, just like law enforcement? Probably I would say it is. And, so these are things that society will decide what it wants to value and what it doesn't. But still, the law is the law. And the sheriff probably doesn't have the means to enforce the law simply from a law enforcement element. So the solid waste has a law enforcement component to it. It's basically ensuring that there's not illegal dumping going on. And again, if someone's dumping oils and gasolines and things like that into the ground or the water, you know, upstream from you, is that a concern to you? I would think it is. So government,
I probably would never know.
You know.
It's no more of a concern than what's going on at the East landfill.
and the thing is, it's like, so is it bigger government? I guess that's what your perspective of bigger government would be. You know, I think it is a needed component of government, and it's probably where we failed. Because look at, you only have to look around Benton County to say, maybe if we'd have had that vehicle in place, we would not have a lot of the issues that we experience around the county. And if people wanna holler about taxes or whatever, again, I can debate you all day long on this. I believe I stand on the high ground when it comes to this situation. And so I don't mind pushing it, promoting it, in any and all aspects that follow this particular component. Because I'm sick and tired of seeing this community in this county disrespected. And if I have to be the bad guy, it's like I tell a lot of people. You can voice your displeasure at the ballot box, okay? But I got a feeling when it comes to illegal dumping and trash and the situation we have in the county, I outnumber supporters for this than there would be anyone who's against this. So, but again, if we do our job as government, we'll find a way to fund it the proper way in the most effective way, cost effective to the community and the taxpayer. So to sum up, you know.
Can I say one thing about that? The Solid Waste Act was passed in 1991, and the counties were mandated to do certain things to take care of their waste, some form or fashion. The other counties did. Benton County did not. So you're kind of behind everybody else. You're playing catch up.
25 years at least.
Okay, I'm just saying, it's not getting bigger, it's catching up. And I'm not knocking Benton County, I'm just saying that's
We
the
are,
facts.
we are. Do they still have the Adopt a Highway department, a highway, grant program, you know, used to, there were all those signs? Okay, how come I never see,
I don't see.
you know, that's one thing, we don't see any signs going up.
That
you know.
would be T-Dot, that would not be TD, that would be T-Dot.
TDOT is in charge of Adopt a Highway program?
It used to be, but I'm like you, I haven't seen it.
Well,
I know there's also an Adopt a River Mile program, that, the Adopt a River Mile, which I know we've had some communities here in Benton County who have done that. I don't know what that falls under, but it's keeping the shoreline clean and whatnot.
And you just hit on, thank you for bringing that up, because there's two things. We have a nonprofit in Benton County called Keep Benton County Beautiful, right? And a lot of times you need a nonprofit as your partner as well, because they can take donations for some of these endeavors that county government cannot. So I believe there's an opportunity for a good, effective utilization of that nonprofit, getting to the water grants. I believe we get $35,000 for the litter grant that the sheriff administers, okay? But I've recently gone to the legislature and said, what are you doing for the river counties? Because if you live in Middle Tennessee and you're on the Harpeth River or something where they run through urban counties, they probably have good community stewards. But what do you do for the Tennessee River? You cannot cover all of the bank with $35,000. So I've started this lobbying effort with fellow Tennessee River County mayors to say we need at least double what we get in our litter grants. And the reason being is we need water pickup. There's as much pollution on our riverbanks as there is on our highways. But these litter grants focus only on the highways, the easy ones. But the more difficult pickup and cleanup is on our riverbanks. And I've asked Northwest Tennessee, they're not a lobbying element or anything like, but they can voice this particular challenge that we have in Benton County that you would not find with an inland county. And so, that may have to go up to the federal level, since TVA, Department of Interior, Corps of Engineers are all part of that river management system. But if they're serious about water cleanup, then they will help us out in that endeavor. So I've got to get our state legislators. It's too late to start it now, but hopefully going into the next legislative season, they'll know what our challenges are, and we'll be promoting that a lot more. But water pickup, whole different animal, and something that we need.
Especially since it flooded, because all the crap in people's yards has gone with the water when it receded.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, what I would like to respectfully ask the board is, first of all, this is we don't have to do it this meeting unless you've read enough of it, but there is a creation resolution, a recommendation that you are in full support of creating a solid waste department. No funding, nothing like that, just that the need for it, and it is your recommendation to the county commission is to create one.
I'll make a motion.
I second.
I can't go with this yet.
Well, do we need time, let everybody look it
Yeah.
over?
I've got a few questions.
Okay, you can put it off until the next meeting. I mean, that's fine. We're not in any rush.
You ain't pushing, you gotta walk before the next court meeting anyhow, right?
And my thing is if we can create it for this fiscal year and fund it with $1, we've done something. We've gotten it on paper so that we can begin the application for grants. Again, I'll be the unofficial solid waste director until we can actually get a department funded and find a revenue stream that would be appropriate for it. I think the revenue stream is there. It's called waste management monthly payments.
So it boils down to the county court's gonna have to prove all of this.
Right, so they.
It goes anywhere anyhow. If they can't prove it,
Right. But it's a good discussion item, so I just wanted to bring it. We can have another meeting next month or.
So will we have another meeting next month?
we can have one anytime we wanna have one. It's
Then
gotta be put in paper.
then I'll withdraw my motion.
It's gotta be put in paper.
Just chew on it and study it. Another thing I would like us to do, and before that time, is also find a resolution for some type of an appeal board, a citizen appeal board that relates to solid waste cases, that they can come and before, and how to structure it, because we also need that element in place as well.
I mean, most of them have on there like that.
I live in Union City, and we don't really have an appeals board. We have an appeals court, and we have a lawyer. He's not a judge, but he's a judge to hear these cases. I don't know about the other facilities. My coworker, Donnie Button, is a city planner, and he might have more information about that.
Okay. Well, I would like to try to get something like that in place. so that we, again, I can send out letters all day long, and we can actually act, but I kinda think we're missing a step when we assume, that what's trash to me may not be trash to
Well,
you.
and I've got a lot of elderly neighbors, and they can't go out and pick up the trash in their front yard. So I told them, you know, I'm walking all of Spence Road 3 times a week with my Walmart bags. I'll just come on down and grab your stuff along the thing and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, but I'm not gonna go on somebody's property that I don't know and get a cap, you know, popped in my behind for trespassing, like you say. That's their treasure, and I'm saying it's trash. And this happened in Harmon's Creek a few years back. Sonny Hall, the commissioner, a group of them all got together because there was a very dilapidated property down there, and they went and cleaned it up after there was 2 years worth of complaints. But it was the same situation. You have either disabled or elderly people that just can't pick this stuff up, have no way to get it to the dump, and have no money to hire Mr. Fox's service.
I was gonna say something on that. If you've got some granny or something out there that can't afford my service or something, holler at me, you know, I'll make a senior citizen discount or something and come out there and, you know, help them out some.
And that's why I've changed the letter. The statute said 10 days, and I said, no, we actually need to try to be a partner to the landowner. But we also know that there's a lot of landowners that are just abusive of this, and sometimes a letter will go a long way. We don't have to go those other steps. And if we've got some self-compliance within the community and they know we're serious, then maybe they'll be our own cleanup crew.
I'm wondering if a stable, relationship could be established with the not-for-profit, like Keep Benton County Beautiful, or some other that potentially ties in with like Benton County volunteer hours or whatnot, to have that included in the letter of saying, you know, if the problem is means, then here's a nonprofit you can contact.
Yep.
That potentially could help you, you know, with your issue.
Excellent suggestion. So,
Well, and the high school kids that are graduating have to have the hours to
Volunteer hours.
Right,
volunteer
if there would
hours.
need to be, you know, a point of contact to go through, either whether it's that nonprofit or some other, to say, here's some folks who, you know, are willing to volunteer to help you, or a church, or, you know, whatever that's willing to help with some funds to get somebody out there to do the job, or, you know, whatever it is, some type of way of means of letting that individual know if the problem is that you're older, infirm, disabled, whatever, don't have the funds, can't do it yourself. Here's another way to get it done that's not gonna cost you or the county anything, you know?
And the Girl Scouts used to, when I was a leader, had to have a patch. We had to do so much cleanup in order to get the patch.
well, excellent
You
suggestion.
know, all that right
and
there,
it
the
is-
director could work a lot on some of that right there, connecting up with people like that to.
To reach out to the Girl
Right, you
Scouts
know,
and the Boy
right.
Scouts used to have
I
a
mean,
patch
you have a
too.
director over that in time, he could sort of, you know, stir up a lot of it.
And that's why you can see, as we get to discussing, how it just grows and grows and grows, and you can see what all is encompassed within solid waste management. And like I said, I hate to say it this way, it energizes me. And we've already been to several meetings together, you know, learning this process, and you can see the community need, but also the size endeavor that it can be. But you know what? We have to start somewhere. And I believe the creation of a solid waste department is our first step in the right direction, so.
Can I add something, Mayor? The city, and I'm over sanitation in the city, we have letters we send out also. And you'll find that as you send out letters where people have complained that this person in my neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. If you send it to the owners, they do recognize it, and usually that's all you have to do. We've had very, very few cases that we've actually had to bring before the city judge, maybe 1 in 5 years. And that's with an active codes
It
director.
could be that lucky.
Well, and
Well,
that,
you could be, it depends on who you get and how well they work with people, because you send out a letter and then your director may call them on the phone and start a communication, or even go to their home and start a communication with them. And that's where that personal communication can make a big difference in the results you receive back.
Well, and that's why we have two versions of the letter.
Right.
We kind of a request, hey, be our partner, help clean it up, we're watching, we've had complaints. And then we have the other letter, the other version that has a little bit more teeth into it, and it means that we mean business, so.
And our third letter would have come from our city lawyer.
Okay.
As more of a official, you know, we've given you 2 strikes here, you've not come around with us. Here's your 3rd strike from the lawyer, and next you'll be into city court, which is, say, be county court, or, you know, however you
And
like.
something we may do in the future, we've got, you know, the board members up here, is that, I may make a recommendation sometime to grow the board a couple of spots that they incorporate the city of Camden. You know, they're just as much affected by solid waste. The city of Big Sandy, having, those 2 elements on the board would be very important. I think it would make us better. We can discuss that in later meetings as to whether we wanna go from a 5-member board to a 7-member board, ex officios, but I very much would like someone with the city of Camden on the board, and someone with the city of Big Sandy on the board as well, preferably from the solid waste sanitation departments, you know. It's like having Mr. Fox here in our audience. It just gives us more expertise. Thank you for being here. You know, I mean, we very much want your input on any and everything that
Yeah, I may be able to help out some there, but, like I said, you know, I'll try to help out best I can. I'm fixing to be full-time at the post office, so, you know, if there's a convenience center in Big Sandy, actually that would kinda help me out a little bit, because I've got 500 or 600 customers there, and, I had 4 trucks running in there, you know, to get all that garbage out of there, but I'm employing all these guys, it'll kinda affect them in a way. You'll be hiring somebody but I may be firing somebody, you know, because, it's gotten a little bit lighter or whatever, but as far as, clean up the community and stuff like that, I'd be more than happy to try to help y'all guys out with that stuff. I've been doing it for 21
when
years
you go to
now,
the,
you know.
when you go to the dump, you've got Henry County trash or Benton County trash, what mechanism do you have in place to ensure that you're collecting properly and paying for Henry County trash, and not mix and mingling Benton County trash with Henry County trash?
Okay, Benton County, I don't have to pay,
Right.
So, let's say, okay, I have Dixon, and, I could somehow say that's Benton County's trash
Right.
but, so, you know, with that said, the garbage, I take it to Dixon County there, because I'm in Dixon County. They charge me a fee. You can look up and you'll see, I pay something like $450 a month or something for that fee. What I do is I just add on a couple more dollars. $17 a month is what I charge here, and if you pay a year, you only have to pay 11. I'll give you a free month. Humphreys County, they have the convenience centers set up. Okay, what they asked me is not to like come to one and overburden it, because it messes their system up. So they may ask me if you could go to this one or that one, and then they may ask me to take it to the landfill in Camden and just charge it back to Humphreys County. So they have some kind of system there where Humphreys County pays for the garbage, and so it's like free to me there. I have to charge a little more due to I have to drive so far over there.
So
you do
Waste
the
Management
numbers.
bills Humphreys County, is that it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Like when you go over the scales and they,
Yes, but most time I'll dump at their convenience centers if I can. A lot of people call them inconvenience centers, you know, I'm not trying to due to, like, people go to work and they open up at 7, well, they had to leave for work at 6 or something. And then the convenience center closes at 4 or 5 and they don't get home until 6. So it's inconvenience for them, and that's why they'll call me. That's why I do have business in some of them. But I've got more business here, like Big Sandy, I have so many there, but around Camden itself, it's dropped off some because it's convenient for them to go over there to the landfill or whatever. But like in Holiday, I have a whole bunch over there too, you know, because it's inconvenient for them. It's a long, well, it's $17 a month. You have to drive all the way to Camden, $3 and something cents a week. They're like, and you haul it for me, and you know, and I go to their back porch. I'll get it out of the back of their pickup. I do whatever, you know, it takes to get their garbage from me. Though, do I have to have a trash can? I'm like, well, I recommend one where animals don't get into it, but yeah, but yeah, you know, but I probably can help y'all a little bit with this stuff. You know, the reason why I'm here, you know, it will affect my business some, but you know, I have several employees, so if I lose 200 customers, well, I gotta let this guy go, and you know, or whatever. But you be adding employees too, so you know, it kind of works itself out there. But
And that's why I say this concept is to get creative. It may take us 3 years to 3, 4, 5 years to truly see it into full fruition. So there's some this adjustment time and discussion and you know, phasing it in. You're not gonna see immediate impact, but
and with things said, you know, like you called my house. I don't know when you called. I didn't get in until like 8:30 that night.
right. Your dad came to see me.
Yeah, I was big. I do my mechanic work. I work for the post office. You know, I'm the secretary. All kinds of stuff. So, but I lose my train of thought. Whenever you called, I was like, honey, she didn't know who you were or whatever. I was like, the mayor called, you know. And she's like, well, I thought I recognized his voice or something. But anyway, I was like, so I start looking at my trucks and I noticed one of my employees, I have like a hatch in the top. And the reason why I have a hatch on the top is where my guys can get down and stand on the garbage and it'll slowly go down. Then I can get some more customers and I ain't gotta go to landfill as much, saves a little bit on fuel. Well, this one, I'm paying attention to it, the guy let the hatch open and he's driving, and I like, how come I didn't notice that before? So I'm like, man, you know, I want my stuff contained, and I let this guy go the other day because he didn't listen to me. I was like, the mayor's called me. You know, I'm not sure what this is all about. and so, oh yes, Mr. Fox, I'll make sure. And then he had a problem with his truck, and I'm looking, and there's a bag hanging over the side. I'm like, yeah, okay.
And all we're asking for is just, hey, you know, just a checks type system where you're, you know, you sounds like you've got something in place a lot like MBI has, you know, where you're covering your trash, you're being responsible, and that's all we want. And again, because when the guy drives down the street and it's blowing out of his pickup truck, they see your trucks and you get falsely blamed. So if you've got if your trucks are doing what they're supposed to do, you have that assurance that, hey, we're being good partners to the county with that.
Right. So. Yeah, I live here too, so I like to see a mechanic clean too.
Any other question?
As far as potentially funding this, I understand that you said there's grants that can be applied for, but to prevent a public uproar, I think a public forum and then possibly a referendum would be wise. I mean, because people will just, worst case scenario, we're going to be, taxes are going to go back up. And that would be my concern.
And I understand, and the thing is, we already have the funding mechanism. We've just robbed the funding mechanism to go to other things. The funding mechanism are the waste management payments that come in every month. That's our funding mechanism right there, but we can't even, it's like, the solid waste department should be solely relying upon you know, those monies, and in some counties, they get 100% of it. You know, that's why I say, when we go to these workshops, and people said that there's one county in Tennessee that they should be driving Mercedes-Benz trash, it would be Benton County because of the waste management and the money that they pay us. So ultimately, the commission, our challenge is, as a government body, is see, okay, we need to start redirecting waste management monies towards funding this department. And so those other county services that are relying upon that, those are the ones that we probably need to find the funding mechanisms for. We should not have even a question of how we're gonna fund this. You know, when you're taking in anywhere from $70,000 to $80,000 a month from waste management, and I bet that's probably going up with the trends, money should not be a problem on this. But
what do they do with that money? Are they spending it?
well, I don't know, Commissioner Melton, I mean,
Is
you
it
know, you've kind of
being
seen some
saved?
budgets over time.
Is it, it's paying for regular expenditures within the county?
It
Doing it
basically is
just
being
how
used to
much?
hold the county tax rate down by being applied to various departments to operations and spend expenses. So if you're gonna, look at taking that money, you're gonna have to replace it with some other source of money, or you're not gonna have any operational money for the county. It's not it will not be a simple, quick fix. It will have to be done in stages, probably over a couple of fiscal years anyway.
And I know, I wanna mention this too, that you're saying that you see a trend where the fees are gonna start increasing. What kind of trend is that? Where are you seeing that?
Well, we've gone, in October 2016, we were bringing in anywhere from $26,000 to $33,000 a month. Now that's $63,000 to $83,000 a month. So already that increase in dollars should have provided us a little fluff, but then again, we've got other county needs, we've got other department needs, and that's why I said this is gonna take several years, and my desire to get it created is so we've got a vehicle now. We got a vehicle for the letters, for the enforcement, or for the grants that we're gonna apply for. We can move forward with the convenience centers, finding the sites. It's really to kind of get something on paper that we need as our vehicle to grow forward, and we may not adequately fund it for several years now, you know, and it'd be a shame if we don't ultimately have a goal to get this up and running full speed one day. So.
Well, I was just remembering what he had said about a new cell opening up, that's probably gonna take away from us.
That's probably also why you're seeing some spike,
Yes.
is because if these are closed in Middle Tennessee, they're probably shipping a lot of that garbage here, which is gonna increase your host fees.
Exactly.
That could, it doesn't mean that it will, but if a cell is opened up somewhere closer,
Yes.
they're gonna look at shipping costs as to what the host fee is, and it could very well allow for a drop. There's no way to know.
That's very possible.
There's no way to know at
Correct.
this point what.
And that's
It's
why
not really a
good-
stable table that you can really.
Good planning, good projection, a good conservative approach to this will hopefully prevail at the end of the day too.
Didn't you say, you thought there was 3 or 4 going to close?
That's what the state told us
In how many years, man?
within 5 years.
Do you know where the locations
No,
might be?
I can find that
If
out.
they were in the western part of Middle Tennessee, that might throw those loads over toward us. If they're on the eastern part, they may, of course, they would probably look at going in another direction.
I know you're already getting a lot of the Davidson County trash.
Yes.
I mean, a lot.
Most of the time, always, when it increases like that much, it's coming, you know, they shut down somewhere, and not moving, but if we get increase here, is the county court gonna increase everybody's budget, and give them more, then we still won't have nothing if it does increase.
Right, you know,
And that's what, you gotta, everybody's gotta live, you know, I know they gotta have so much, but
But
they
the
don't have
wish
to wait.
list, and the need list should be two different
Right, I
things.
agree
You don't
with
wanna
that.
see the wish list.
I mean, I don't know, you know, I know you do just so much, but you know what I mean?
And then this is and it's complex, and like I said, we don't do it overnight. Again, it's just a concept of creation is what the document says, so read over it, give me your feedback, and maybe either next month or something, and we don't have to create right away, but I do believe we should be working towards creating it at least. And, again, I don't care if it's got $1, $100, or $1,000. I believe in at least having it in paper. We can do more as far as the grants go, because we've got that element in place to begin, focusing the grant monies towards, and the successful programs will pull as much money from grants and they will from county funding.
In Obion County, the first thing they did, they formed a solid waste, well, they hired a solid waste director. All he took care of was the used tires, or the waste tires. He had a portable building, no bathroom, no anything. That's where he sat. It was only open so many hours a week. His office was in the senior citizens building, and he paid little rent to her, and they gradually grew. Now then, they have an excellent recycling facility. It took time. It took 6-7 years before they even thought about that recycle center, but it worked, and it was all done from the host fees from the 2 landfills they have. But their host fees aren't, with them added together, they're nowhere near what the West Camden fees are for Benton County. But,
You mean there are 2 landfills,
there are
we're
2.
nowhere
That's how much
compared.
more tonnage y'all are getting.
And our host fees, I believe, are scheduled to go from $1.20 to $1.40.
$1.40.
Very soon, very soon.
Is it a requirement to apply for the convenience grants that the county has a solid waste department? Is that a
It
requirement?
sure makes my job easier, okay, because who's gonna administer that grant? Who's gonna go out there and make sure it's being done properly? I said this before, any county that has a landfill, a class 1 landfill within their county, really needs a solid waste department. I mean, I can't stress that enough.
Well, I don't know if you know what a class 1 is. A class 1 landfill, you can dump anything in that landfill except for nuclear waste.
And
So there's no telling what's in our
I
landfill.
can't stress enough how bad you need that, just to oversee it. I mean, you won't go barging into waste management, but just someone, you need one person to be in charge of that.
Okay, so you said any county that has a class 1 should have
A solid waste department, hopefully with a solid waste director, but,
Would you go over again the used oil grant that you mentioned before?
okay, the used oil grant, it's offered by TDEC, it'll be offered in July. Municipalities can apply for it, counties can apply for it. It can be used to, the main reason they get it is to get a waste oil heater, and that will heat a building.
Okay, so
Completely.
if there was a purchase of a building, just say whatever purpose, and we were able to, effectively incorporate a heating system using used oil, that grant could be applied to a refurbish or remodel, I guess, of that building to accept that type of heat. That's interesting.
But you gotta have a solid waste director to do that, right?
You have to have
Because
that,
you cannot
but
get the
before
grant.
you can apply for that
Oh,
grant.
no,
You can
no.
apply for that grant without that.
The
She
city
said
of,
it just helps if you have a director, it helps.
and the public works departments, like in Newton, they applied for one, the one in Trimble applied for one. That's how they heat their building in the winter, and they accept used oil. They get, some of it they get from the police department when they change the oil in their cars.
Henry County got a grant too.
Yes,
Is it
Henry County has
just
a
motor
recycling
oil, or is
plant.
it like cooking oil, or what?
No,
motor oil.
Just
motor oil. But it really heats, I'm cold natured, and it really heats a building up. I mean, it's great. In fact, the Albany County Recycle Center, Travis's office has heating and cooling little unit, but the rest of it, they solely heat with used oil heaters. In the summertime, they have a door and then they have another, they put in another door over here, so there's cross ventilation. So they have no electric bill other than the lights.
Henry County Recycling Center is the same,
Yes.
and it is hot in there. I
Well,
went over there when it was
everywhere you
cold
are there in
outside.
wintertime.
But if we go ahead and approve this, you know, like this, it's still gonna come to y'all, county commission.
You can approve it, we don't even have to bring it to them, I'll probably will take it to law enforcement committee,
But
I
I'm
will
saying, you
probably
know, I
run it
mean,
to the law
if
enforcement
there's any
committee.
complaints,
to,
they're gonna have a chance to get up and
Right.
Well, I guess I guess what I wanna say is if we went ahead and voted on this tonight and said this was okay, is that agreeing to everything that you've got here?
No, now this is just a concept of creation, okay? This just establishes the board, what its mission is and things. This is basically to sell people that we do need one, you know, and how the future, we could structure it. So, the concept of creation is not the actual department, you know.
I do have an EWS question.
Okay.
And I saw where you said you wanted to have a tire recycling drop-off point for the EWS site. Now, when you say the EWS site, then that mean the county will be taking over responsibility from the state of that site?
No. Well, here's the thing about the EWS site. There's the ownership of the site and the liability that comes with that. We will never take that over. You know what I mean? Us or the city will not ever do that.
And you would wanna use that site?
As an
As
maybe have our office space there. I know that they have a building there on site.
Are you talking EWS or are you talking Recycle Ventures?
Well,
which
it would
area
be the
are you talking?
EWS as you go into the EWS, you know, they got the scales there, they've got that, trailer, but hey, that site might be open for us to be able to use to have an interlocal agreement to say, hey, can we have an office here on site, you know?
That is a contaminated site, you know that.
Well, you know, when
I
you,
mean-
okay, when you say contaminated.
Yes,
Uh,
it's poison, at least
okay.
for 30 years, be monitored by the state.
Okay, and they're gonna accept that liability of it, but toxic, you know, they have there's, what's hazardous and toxic, there's different levels of those type of things.
Oh,
So-
absolutely, we have some
so-
of the most toxic waste that's sitting down there, cancer-causing agents, you know,
Okay,
it's
okay.
just-
Well, again, we're not gonna take ownership of that site at all, but, you know, y'all are the board, you know
But
what I
why
mean?
would you
And-
even want
and,
people down there, that thing needs to be locked up.
Well, only because we're gonna need a location, we're gonna need a physical location to operate from.
I do not
And,
recommend the EWS place
okay,
still.
okay.
It's a very toxic
And,
site.
well, we have a tire recycling building, and we also have another location that we possibly could utilize.
Once that site is properly kept, probably you're not gonna have a problem then.
They have to monitor that for 30 years, the state does. If we take responsibility on it, that wipes the state's responsibility
Oh, yeah.
for anything.
Right,
We
which
do
makes
not
it
want to
to
do
be,
that.
I'm just saying that once
Regardless
it's
if they
kept,
catch it,
We
you
don't
have
know
to-
what's gonna happen 5-10 years down the
Right.
road, you
You
know,
wanna
we
put
don't
a
know, there's a
facility
major
there.
water line that runs through that area.
The water line's being moved, that's,
Great.
that's in the
They
process.
discussed the other day, didn't they?
Yeah, we saw,
Great.
plans and
It's-
everything.
I'll say
Got
this
the money
myself,
for it.
I've sat on that board ever since they started that. And it has been done the best it can be done.
Absolutely.
We could've been left with all that damage sure enough, and it's gonna be covered. We put the best cover that we could buy, money we could buy to go on that. And it would, you know, instead of putting just the cheapest thing we could get, and the state has looked at that really well and took care of it for us. And, it's not finished out because the rain has stopped it, but it's gonna be done here in the next 3 or 4 months, it'll be over with. They'll have it capped, then they're gonna go ahead back in there. They got it all capped, but they're gonna have to put some more on top of it. And then they're gonna have to sew it, and they'll be done with it. And the wells is running, they got wells, they will check in wells from here, you know, like I said, for 30 years. Of course, anything could happen, anything you go at,
Exactly.
but we got it, we approved it to let it go in there, so, you know,
Well, no,
It wasn't a good
actually,
No, it wasn't.
actually, it was a.
Nothing was done right
No,
about
no,
the
no.
Actually, it was a
But
class
that's in the
3,
past.
class 4 landfill for
Exactly.
demolition.
Well, but I'm saying,
Yeah,
the
so-
county, you know, we took,
Well, the thing
We
about it
got,
was,
you
is
know.
the state allowed this to happen to us, they knew what exactly was going on. It's contaminated, it'll be their responsibility for 30 years, we do not want to take that responsibility away from them.
No.
We will not be taking responsibility away from them. They are gonna be doing everything they can with the wells. They're still gonna do just like they're
we
doing right
monitored all
now.
that.
But the land that surrounds it, if the city wants to do something, a road through there, going to Eva Road, a park on the bottom part there that's not contaminated, it's in the cell is going to be capped totally. Where
It will be
safe.
fenced off around the cell.
It's
If they
safe.
do anything
What they've
else
done
down there.
has,
That
I have
frightens
been
me.
very, I have been very
Wouldn't you say
impressed.
park?
I was one of the
Well, that's been
outspoken
pretty
that
rough.
really drug Mr. Poole through the mud the first
Yes.
time I spoke to
Yes.
him.
Yeah.
But he has impressed me. I have watched every step of this. We have been very involved in meetings, in blueprints. It's been very transparent. I can't say enough good now for Mr. Poole, as I said bad at the beginning of this
But
process.
you sit down there and aggravate him all that first meeting.
That first meeting, I was very ugly to him, and it wasn't even him, it was the one
Right,
before him that
right.
caused the
Right.
problem.
We all felt the same way.
But everybody felt the same way, and now I am a whole, turned absolutely around, because I've been there and seen everything that he has done, and even done more than what was expected of the state. I mean, he has went into funds.
He went against the state on a lot of
A
things.
lot of things, and he went into funds that could be used somewhere else, but he opted to do the right thing for Benton County.
Well, Benton County right now, we have 5 dumps, I don't know if everyone knows that or not, but we have 5 dumps.
And more, it's more the reason that we need a
A solid
director.
waste director, correct.
Yeah.
Because
I
had
don't
we
know what
had a director directly involved in this at the beginning of all these dumps,
Exactly,
our county would be totally different from what it is today.
yes,
So we need to look forward,
yes,
from today forward, and do the right thing.
I agree with that,
I
and it
think-
needs to be people on the committee who care about the people of Benton County and who care about our environment in Benton County. And who are gonna stand up to whoever it is that needs to be, not be gullible when they come in there. I went to a solid waste, seminar. Since I was on the solid waste board, I wanted to find out how this happened to Benton County. And they give sessions. And so they had some on salt cake and different things like that, so I thought, well, I'm gonna listen to that. They also had one on PR. And they said the best way to create a landfill is to go into these small communities. You go there, you sponsor baseball teams, you go and you friend somebody, upstanding citizen, you go and you go to church with these people, you friend these people, you tell them you're gonna bring all these jobs in there, and they will go for it every time. Us being a small county, we are not knowledgeable as those people who are sitting there in the state in those positions in solid waste. We are counting on them to say, oh yeah, this is fine. Well, it hasn't been fine.
I
And
think
it
there's,
hasn't
I
been
think
fine
there's
for
enough
7
Benton
years.
County citizens that have, like yourself, that have been directly involved in this from the beginning of this major ordeal we've had, that I don't think they could come in now and do to us what they did
No,
then.
no way in the world.
No way.
There's no way,
As long as
because
I'm
there's
here, it
enough,
won't.
there's enough knowledge, you know,
Yeah.
we're just in this room.
We didn't have the knowledge when they started this.
Right.
I didn't
Right.
either,
Right.
I sat on the county commission, but I voted against it, but I didn't know what I know now about it, and nobody else did either.
Right.
We let.
That's why we need
got
to
away
be
from us.
more knowledgeable on what's going on when something comes in. Do our due diligence, go out there, do your research, find out if we allow this, what's it gonna do to our environment, what's it gonna do to our people? Cause we have no idea what that landfill's gonna do within the next 30 years. We know what they're telling us, but we don't know if that's what's gonna happen, because we've heard all along, when we started the battle against that landfill, oh, everything's fine, well, come to find out it wasn't.
And I think the mayor's right about it. We need to try to get better relationships out there, fellowship a little bit with those people. Cause they can help us down the road, there's gonna be a day coming, we're gonna have another contract. And when this time's up on this free dumping, it's left up to them if they wanna negotiate something with us or not. And so, you know, you can stick your head up in the air so long, then they ain't gonna, they're not gonna look at us.
You know, we have a fly ash dump just not far from the EWS dump that's been closed. There was a woman up there in that neighborhood near that landfill that had high mercury, readings in her well water.
Well, water, yeah.
They kept it very quiet and they put her on city water. Now, how many other people up there knew that? No one. It was on the EPA's top 20 list of most toxic landfills. Now, how many people in Benton County knew that? I did not until I done my research. I called the EPA. I did everything. And it was just, no one knew.
When you say
All the
we
more
have
reason to
5
need a
landfills,
director.
can you name, I know
Fly
Trans
Ash,
Ash, EWS,
West
West
70, Mag Pro dumps on their own ground,
Mag
and
Pro.
then there's the old 70 behind the new 70.
What do you mean the 070?
There used to be a smaller landfill back there. It's still there. It's covered up.
Like back off of Mount Palmer Road.
Yeah.
Okay, well now that one was sold to West County Landfill. They took over all of that.
Yeah, and increased it to 400.
Right, but
Yeah.
I mean, but that's
That's
part
what
of
we call the
their,
old one.
okay, but that's part of theirs.
Now, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So
that's really not.
But once they got 400 acres over there on West 70, there should have never, ever been another landfill established in Benton County. It was a class 1, it could have dumped anything it needed to in there, and it had sufficient land.
They're increasing that right now. I'm curious, with the rains, we're new to this area, but with all the rains, is that getting into our water? Because we have well water, we don't drink it.
Where do you live?
Off of Mount Carmel. But our water changes consistently. Some days it'll feel real greasy, other days it's very drying. And so, and you can't ship liquid in the mail anymore, cause I would ship out the water to have it tested. I wouldn't have it tested here.
Well, that's what you're gonna have to do. You have to have someone come in and inspect your water.
Well,
And it is costly, I'm sorry, you know, yeah, it's costly to have a
We
professional
had a
come
new
in.
well put in, it's deeper, but it's still,
Yeah.
I believe in this, and I'm excited about that we're all, you know, concerned about this and see the need to at least be serious about this issue going forward. And, so again, you know, chew on it a little bit, y'all look over it, and the next meeting, I would like to get something, you know, started sooner than later, of course, and I would like for us to meet more often, you know, whether it be once a month for general discussion, or at least once a quarter. We should at least set a goal to meet once a
If
quarter
we go on
minimum.
this here, we probably we need to meet probably every month, tell you the truth, there'll be something coming off to try to get the thing up and rolling. I mean, I'm game anyway, you know, for it, but we need to meet next month and then we can vote on it. Would it be all right?
Yeah,
Do we need to vote, do we need to have a meeting before you have your county court meeting? Then that way
Well,
we
you
can-
figure, and again, because this is gonna be really a non-budget item, if we budget something in there, it may be, I don't know, I'll look at the numbers, whether it needs to be 100 or 1,000 or $1 or whatever, but it might be enough to pay, for a few legal letters to be sent, some postage,
Are you trying to establish it for FY 18-19, or are you looking at 19-20?
or July 1st of this coming year.
19-20.
But all it does is, my main motive behind getting it created is to, first of all, get the Community Oversight Board created as well. So that at least we can send letters out and have a mechanism in place that someone can protest. So at least we get an enforcement mechanism in place. We've got a mechanism to apply for grants and to begin setting this in. If we do our job right, it may be 3, 4, 5 years down the road, we can give the keys to the building over to a director who can hit the ground running at that time. We've set it up for success. We've looked at our finances, our cash flows, whatever it may be, but the main thing is to get it created in concept to begin moving us forward with solid waste. So.
What about April 15th, 16th, or 17th? Could we meet one of those nights?
That's good for
Would
me.
you help me? Can you make it one of them?
You got your calendar on your field? My phone is, I figured our,
Okay, the 15th.
the 22nd is
That's
a,
right. 15th,
15th is a commission meeting.
What about the week before, the first week, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th,
I can't.
12th?
You got,
Won't be there then?
you got.
What about the
meetings
23rd?
on the 8th.
Well, I mean, you can make any of these days.
okay, so,
Yeah.
what's the last week of April, or the week, the 24th? Well,
24th, 22nd, 24th, 25th, 26th.
26th will be the last.
I can't be here for the 24th.
I can't be here that week. I can meet the month, the week before at that 16th.
15th, 16th, 17th, and 19th.
Well, the 15th is the commission meeting.
Yeah, so you'd have to do it the 16th, 17th, or 19th.
I think the 17th sounds pretty good.
That's a Wednesday night church night?
We have 5 o'clock.
What about the 18th?
It's a Thursday night.
I can't be here on the 18th.
What about if we just do it on Tuesday the 16th, the day after the commission meeting?
Okay.
16th?
5 o'clock?
Yeah. They shouldn't last too awful long, I mean, really. Real short.
And if Wanda will get me, if we can just start working on some type of, review board, like a community review board. And again, that's open for us to create. I mean, we could have two citizens per district, one per district with an at-large member, so that it's an odd number to break a tie, you know. but
Let's talk on that some.
And again, that's something for us to be thinking about, also when that meeting comes up.
Yeah, we'll do that tonight. Everybody can be thinking about that, if you wanna put one out of every district, 2, and then you have to have one large dodger to make it odd.
It's gonna have people that's gonna be really knowledgeable or can learn exactly what they're ruling on.
I think to start with, you can do better with a smaller group rather than
I
that
agree.
big.
I think
Like seven people maybe.
I would say even
If you get a large
less.
amount on there,
I don't think you necessarily need representation from every, district. I would say need representation from North End, South End, Camden. Would probably be sufficient.
And they need to understand what exactly they're gonna be ruling on, cause they're gonna have to make some serious.
Well, a lot of it is.
if you get 12, they'll never agree. There'll be a lot of
No, you
arguing.
need an odd number,
5 is
obviously, I mean, but
probably
I just think you
I
probably,
think so.
Yeah.
it would be
Seven,
easier to get it running with a smaller number of people, and then if you see that it can't function with that few, then you can add more, but it'd be harder to cut back than it is to add more.
That's a good number on anything, it's easier to
Cause
work
you have
out
one to
5.
break a tie, you have that one to break a tie.
I'll tell you, if you have 6, you don't have to have 7, cause 3 and 3 ain't gonna get it. So that's something y'all discuss and
Yeah.
think about, and then we'll decide on it next meeting on the 16th. Is that all right with everybody? Is there anything else that need to be discussed? I don't wanna hold everybody too long, but we've got plenty of time.
Any more questions?
I'm just curious, what they're doing to contain the water that goes through there and down into the ground.
In the landfill, they got a liner under there. It's got a liner.
But you
The
know, they're
liners
allowed so many
fill up
holes.
and then they run over, yeah, exactly.
And-
I've heard that it's a multi-layer.
Right. I don't know how many layers they got on it, but they put more than one. I know recapping this now here, but, and I don't forgot monitor wells, just
They're
out here.
supposed to be
We've got
pumping
monitor
off
wells
the
out here,
leachate
the
and
monitor the
everything
water
out of
coming out from
those,
there.
so.
Well, they're
to let
digging
you
right
know.
up to where the well is and are, increasing the size of it.
Well, and I'm also one not to rush to judgment and blame, the big guy on the block it's easy to blame Waste Management, it's easy to blame EWS, but I've been down Mount Carmel Road and seen some of the yards. It can be your neighbor contaminating you just as easy as it is, the big corporate entity up the road, and so,
Well, I think most of the big operations like this out here, they're not gonna let it just run out or something like that because they're running out. The state, if they get a hold of that, they're gonna, you know, they ain't got no choice to make some changes and shut it down one, so they're not gonna lose money out there. If I run it, I'd wanna run it right because I want the money.
They do have monitoring wells in it, I guess.
They're supposed to.
Yeah, they told, I haven't been out there lately, so I don't know, but I know these down here, it's got monitor wells on it, and they monitor that. It'll be monitored here from here on out, but it won't, you know, if they get any leach in there or anything that comes in, if it's covered right, there won't be more moisture coming in there, so it'll get dry. It's not dry out there now, but it's gonna be dry, it should be down the road at time. It may take 2 to 3 years to dry up, but it's done dried down where they only pull it very little amount of water out of it.
Another resource for you too, is they're supposed to have monitor wells and stuff, and you can go to Tennessee.org on the solid waste site, and you can look and see if there's been any kind of, report or anything. That's a good way to keep up too. We did that a lot too, to find out what was going on over here at that landfill, and it's open to the public. But I would go to that website.
What is it again?
It's at Tennessee.org, solid waste. I guess reports or.
It's a data viewer, at the very bottom of the page, it
Yes.
has data viewer.
Yes.
Click on it and go to the solid waste data viewer. It'll show you all the landfills,
Yes.
convenience centers, anything.
Yes.
It'll show you how when they were formed, and if they had any complaints against them.
Or if they had any violations against them, they'll show that too, and it'll tell you what the violation is.
If you just Google Tennessee Environment Conservation, it'll bring up that page, and it's at the very bottom of that front page.
Wanda, did we pass?
You passed for flying colors, but I'm not gonna make it home for my bedtime.
Oh, no.
I live in
He's got a long drive.
So we're gonna adjourn.
All right, I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I'm sorry, she asked a question. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion to Cindy. Second. Second to it?
Second.
Motion been made, second, all in favor, Joe?
Aye. All right.